Hello and welcome to this brief induction talk for the Master's degree in International Relations at Queen's University Belfast. It's a very quick presentation just to do three things really. First is to allow me to introduce myself as your program convener for the MA in IR. Secondly, I want to give you a very kind of high-level brief overview of the program itself just to familiarize you with that. And then finally I want to say a little bit about the unusual world of teaching and learning that we're going to be in this year, what it looks like at the moment and the kind of things you can expect us to be doing. It's not the kind of presentation where you need to take copious notes. Everything I say is going to be something we come back to in coming weeks in more depth. So it's really just to familiarise you. This is me. My name's Shane Brighton. I'm a senior lecturer in international relations in the School of History, Anthropology, Politics and Philosophy at Queen's University Belfast. I am your program convener, and I'll say a little bit more about what that actually means. I'm from London originally. I've worked in a number of different international environments. I came to teaching quite late. I was an analyst for quite a long time. So I've got some experience from the wider world of international relations that I can bring to my teaching. But for your point of view, for the most part, with this program, this year, what's important to understand is that I convene the academic side of your MA program, and I'm your advisor of studies. Most of that means stuff that's behind the scenes and it won't bother you. But what it does mean from your point of view is that I'm your kind of one-stop shop. I'm your go-to guy if you have academic problems with the course, and they're problems that you can't deal with whoever's teaching the particular element that you're doing at that time. Okay, so I will be talking to you individually during the year, whether that's virtual or in real life, depends on the changing public health advice, obviously. But this gives you some of the contact details that you need for me on this slide. You'll see quite a lot of me in this first term because I am the course convener for the core course for the MA in International Relations, which is Theories and Issues in International Relations, of which much more in the coming weeks. Okay, so I'm your program convener, I'm your advisor of studies, and I will hope to see you virtually or in person at least once a term, I think. There are a number of things we do in those conversations. I can deal with any concerns you may have about the talk content of the course. I can help you think a little bit about what you want to do with your degree when you leave Queen's. And increasingly as the year goes on, I'm going to be one of your principal advisors in the research component of your degree. I'll say more about that shortly. But it's usual, I think, that quite early on, students start to think about how they're going to research and what they're going to research. And I'm one of the main resources you have for that. So as things develop, feel free to get in touch with me about that. So that's me. Welcome from me to Queen's. And also congratulations. Well done for getting a place on the course. Well done also, I think, for choosing a really good degree program. One of the interesting things about international relations is it tends to be composed of periods of relative stability out there in the world where our legal system and our diplomatic systems work well, and then those become interrupted by times of crisis. Right now, we're in a time of crisis. It's an extremely important time to be thinking about international relations. And in fact, Northern Ireland increasingly is a very important place to be thinking about international relations from. So congratulations, because you're doing the right thing and you're in the right place and you're in for a very interesting year. Now, a little bit of an overview. There's an awful lot of detail I could dig down into what courses are about and what it means to combine the courses. But at this stage, I just need you to be aware of what the main components are. There are three things really that comprise your degree from a teaching and learning point of view. The first is your research training. The second is the core courses that we require you to take in order to get the degree. And then there's the elective courses, which you also need to get your degree, but over which you have a lot of choice. So the way you think about this, I think most sensibly, is to understand that you all get to choose your own pathway to your degree program. Okay? No two pathways necessarily have to be the same. Okay? There are some common elements that everyone has to take, but you get quite a lot of choice. One of the things we do, just to take you to the first of those bullets, is to get you to think quite early on about research and research training. Here's a really good way to think about what a master's degree is and why it's different from the bachelor's programs you may have taken. One of the big differences is that our purpose is to develop you and pull you through to the point where you can undertake individual research projects, okay? Where you can formulate strong research questions and have the training and methods to answer them, and then to produce research at the end of that that is of an academically accreditable standard, okay? So while not everything you do on the course is about research, a big purpose that we have, and certainly the final stage of your assessment, is all about research. We do that in a couple of ways. In this autumn term, you're going to be taking methodology and debates training in research, okay? So that is course HAPP 7001, about which you'll get much more information. I won't say too much about it now, but it begins to give you some of that methodological training from which to begin your research training, your research program. After Christmas, the nature of your research training changes significantly, because what will happen then is very rapidly you'll start to work with an individual academic to develop a topic of your own choosing, and to start to think about the ways in which you can formulate research questions and undertake research in the final stage, which will be the summer. And then the summer will culminate with you submitting the dissertation and submitting your research. So that's a big part of your program. You don't have to start worrying about it immediately, but quite soon on you'll see we're beginning to prepare you for that research stage. The second of those elements there, moving down to the next bullet, is your core courses. These are the things, the basic elements that we require you to have in order for you to get the IR qualification at the end. This term, that comprises the research training, but it also comprises the course I mentioned just now, which is Theories and Issues in International Relations. It's a primer course for international relations. We don't assume that you've already studied international relations. So it will work as an introduction, and those of you that have done IR before, it will deepen your understanding. Okay? Obviously, if you've done it before, the learning curve is slightly less steep, but everybody finds it a challenging course, and it resources you with an awful lot of information and a lot of concepts that will allow you to go to work on the other courses you take and in your research. The other core courses we require you to take has to be one in the security field, specifically in the contemporary security course or the global terrorism course after Christmas. And after Christmas, you will need to take the international political economy course. So those are the core elements. Those are the essential elements that are required for you to say that you've got that qualification at the end. They're the things that we consider to be essential. And then you have elective courses, and I won't go into detail about those. There are plenty of them. There's something for everyone, from environmental politics through to area studies and specific areas of policy, all sorts of things to choose from. And there you get to focus on your own interests a lot more. Okay, so those are the key elements there. As the information comes through, you'll get more and more detail on that. And if you need support, there will be people who you can talk to who teach those courses and can give you advice about how to put them together, the kind of things you'll be looking at, etc. Okay, so that's a quick overview of the main taught and research elements of your program. What I want to talk about now are the modes of study and what's called at Queen's the blended learning approach that we're going to be taking this year. Now, clearly times are very difficult when it comes to teaching. Universities have faced substantial challenges in how we teach in the current public health environment. So I want to give you a little bit of information such that anything is certain at the moment about the way that we're approaching this. I think what me and most of my colleagues are doing right now is preparing for a kind of worst case scenario where there's another lockdown, where we get a real deterioration in public health. We're doing that because what we want to happen is that however bad things get, we can deliver you a really good degree program online. Okay, so we are building up teaching and learning materials that ordinarily would have been delivered in classrooms and in lecture theatres into a really good virtual learning environment for you, so that if the worst comes to the worst and we're not really able to do traditional seminar and lecture teaching, the course is there and you get a really good experience and you get a full teaching load that allows you to take the qualification successfully. Okay, so I hope that puts your minds at rest that however disrupted things may get, and hopefully they won't, that you're going to have a really good experience with the course and that everything that would have been provided to you will be provided to you, albeit through a different medium. There are then, this is where the blended part comes in, provisions being made for us to teach in ways that's safe for academic faculty and students. And that obviously is subject to public health guidance and to the university policy on public health. But I'm hoping that from the get-go, we have a really significant in-person dynamic going on, that we're able to do seminar work, that where lectures can be done, they will be done. And they'll be done in person. We also, of course, recognise that people have caring responsibilities, maybe cocooning or shielding, or may have health concerns that mean that they can't be there, even if we can do that real-world teaching. So that stuff will be captured, it'll be put online, and hopefully there will be a kind of interactive element to it that we can bring in, so that those of you who, for whatever reason, because of the pandemic, are not able to be there in person for all or some of the teaching, will get access to it and will get the value from it. Okay? And then my assurance to you is the same assurance that I give to my students every single year, which is that I will be personally available for one-to-one support. Okay? It may be that we have to do that through some kind of online conversation, and it may be that if you're in Belfast, you're able to come and see me, we sit outside, we wear masks or whatever it is, but we get to have a proper conversation and support you in the best way possible for the degree. For the most part, I try and see everyone on the degree at least once every term. Many people find it useful to do that much more often. It allows me to put names to faces. It allows me to give you individualized support and advice. And I promise you that one way or another, safely and supportively, you will get that contact this year. All that's left to be said is that we are working really hard right now, my administrative colleagues, my academic colleagues, to get everything online and to support you in quite a challenging environment. So if you can, be patient, bear with us. We are working flat out. It's going to be good though. It's going to be a really good year, and I'm really looking forward to getting on with this and to meeting you all either in the real world or online. Goodbye.